Hello and welcome to your writing lesson for Thursday. In today's lesson, we're actually going to get a sneak peek of the next chapter of Evie in the Jungle, which has some fantastic writing that I hope is going to inspire us to do some of our best creative writing yet. And the reason I really like this chapter of Evie in the Jungle is that it transports us to a magical place in the country Peru. I'm not sure that all of you know where Peru is, so let's have a look at a map first. You can see that Peru is in South America. Those of you who are in CCOL class, you'll remember that I told you at the beginning of the year that I travelled to South America last year, so the year before we started in year 3, and I travelled to a lot of these countries, and I actually went to visit some parts of the Amazon rainforest. The Amazon rainforest is very big, and it crosses over into lots of different countries. So I actually went into the Amazon rainforest through Bolivia. Have a look on the map and see if you can see the country Bolivia. Bolivia is a neighbouring country to Peru, and in the story we know that Evie's mum used to work in the Brazilian side of the Amazon rainforest, but she and her dad decided to go to the Peruvian side. And the place that we are being transported to in this chapter of the book is a city called Iquitos City, which is in Peru. Peru is a very different country to England. It's hot, it's very high up, it's got lots of mountains, and therefore the way that people live there is very different. And we're going to look at how you can evoke the mood and the feeling and atmosphere of a place very different to what you're used to by using really effective descriptions. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be practicing describing places and really making someone who's reading it feel like they're there and they can understand what it feels like to be in that very different, very magical place. Before we start, we need to make sure that you have written your date and your LI. So can you make sure you've got a pencil and paper, pause the video and write the date, which is up there, 30th of April 2020, and the title Year 3 Writing. And then underneath you need to write the LI, which is to write an effective description. Once you're done with that, you can unpause the video and carry on. Okay, if you're still watching, I'm assuming you have your date and LI already written down. And we're going to move down, I'm going to drag my little face bubble down to the task. So you'll see there are two slightly different tasks. They're very similar. One is for the Jade and Indigo groups, and the other one is just for all the other groups. Jade and Indigo groups, you need to write 2 to 3 sentences describing a place you have travelled to. Now this place could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a different country, but if you have been to another country, I would love to hear you write about it. But it could just be a place that you went that's different to your home. I'm sure since you're all stuck at home, you've been thinking a lot about all the places you used to go to. You know, maybe one of your favourite places is the park or the beach or the zoo. It could be a house that you went to, maybe a different house you went to go and visit. It could be somewhere in school. But I want it to be a place which makes you feel a certain feeling, okay? Because we're going to be practicing evoking a sense of feeling. Evoking means making the reader feel it or making it apparent in your writing. Those of you in the Jade and Indigo groups, while you're writing your sentences, you're going to be focusing on using adjectives in order to make your description really vivid. Remember, adjectives describe things, so you might want to use words to describe the people in the place, you might want to use words to describe the colours, the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it smells. I want lots of adjectives. Everybody else, you're going to be doing pretty much the same task, except I want from you 2 to 3 paragraphs. And remember what you learned last week about writing good paragraphs. You're still going to be describing a place that you have travelled to or visited, but I want you to focus on using more of a variety of methods of enhancing your description. So as well as using adjectives, because you all know how to use adjectives, I want to see more expanded noun phrases, adverbs to describe verbs, so the actions. So if there's people in the place, how are they moving? How are they talking? And if you can, I would love to see some really effective similes and metaphors that really help me understand what it's like to be in that place. Some of you might be confused about how you can use these descriptive techniques to show what a place feels like. So we're going to actually have a look at the chapter, and I'm going to point out some of the things I really like about the way that Matt Haig has written this introduction to Iquitos City. So this chapter is called A Very Grumpy Parrot. Iquitos City was a fantastic place. Maybe the most fantastic place Evie had ever been to in her entire life. A whole city right in the midst of the rainforest, nestled between the vast, curving wonder of the Amazon River. This is a great expanded noun phrase. The vast, curving wonder of the Amazon River. So I'm imagining a big river that's curving all the way around this city. So the city we know is nestled. Nestled's a really nice verb as well. It's like tucked away next to the Amazon River. And probably the only place in the world you could walk around with a sloth on your back and no one looked at you funny. They travelled in a 3-wheeled tuk-tuk through the streets. So this is nice because it's describing how they were travelling in the streets. So you can imagine what they were doing, and then it explains what a tuk-tuk is, because some of you might not have ever seen one. A tuk-tuk is like a kind of multicoloured scooter crossed with a car. So we've got lots of detailed. What is a tuk-tuk like? What does it look like? Well, I can really imagine it now, this multicoloured scooter that's a bit like a car. Then it carries on. Motorbikes and rickshaws and pedestrians were everywhere. The buildings of the city were a variety of yellows and oranges and reds. Now if I close my eyes I can really see all these yellow and orange red buildings. That's quite different to England, because in England a lot of our buildings tend to be more grey. They saw houses on stilts and kids in bare feet flying kites. So kids in bare feet flying kites, again, it's another good expanded noun phrase using in bare feet. It's got a preposition in and then a description of how their feet were. At the moment I'm getting the impression that it's quite chaotic in this city, and that's the feeling that it's evoking in me, because there's all these different motorbikes and rickshaws and people, and there's houses on stilts, which is kind of crazy, houses on stilts, and children in bare feet running around. There was also a surprising number of street cats everywhere, staring as the traffic sped by. So not only have we seen that there's street cats there, we've also seen what they're doing. They're staring as the traffic sped by. There was no time for sightseeing or cat chatting, though. So we're going to pause there. It's just a short description. You can see it's just about 2 or 3 paragraphs. Now I want you to think of how you can make your description really vivid, really effective, so I can really imagine in my head the place that you are thinking of while you're describing. So we're going to go back to your task now. Pause the video, have a go, spend about 20 to 30 minutes on it, and then don't forget, I really want to see this piece of writing because I'm really excited to see what you will write about. So remember to ask a parent or guardian to take a picture of your work and send it in to the Year 3 email address, which is going to be shown at the end of this video. Good luck, and I hope you enjoy your writing.